It's Caleb Parkin here, writer in residence on the Beyond Words programme, part of Cheltenham Festival's year-round outreach. This time I'd like us to think about recycled poetry. Now, what do I mean by that? Sometimes we talk about found poetry. This is working with words and with texts that we find already in the world and letting them become poems. So why do I think found poetry and well-being are connected? Well, for me, it encourages us to play and have fun with language, to do some experiments with words, to really enjoy the sound of language and of words. I think it helps us overcome the blank page, because we don't have a blank page if we're already cutting things out and working with them. And also I quite like that we can imagine ourselves like curators, that we are in charge of putting together these words into an exhibition of our favourite words we've found. Right then, so that's why we're doing it. Let's go and do a warm-up activity. Okay, so I've come through to my living room and I've got my little craft table. For the warm-up this week, I'd like you to use some of the words that hopefully you've been cutting out since the last video. Don't worry if you haven't. You can pause this film now and go and find yourself some magazines, some catalogues, some leaflets, whatever's around, food packaging, all of these things. I've just been cutting some words out of this Nightlife free magazine. We've got this kind of advertising magazine here with like adverts, 40 Times, Saxmundham News when I was back in Suffolk, and what else have I got? An old copy of Metro. You get the idea. There's a Screwfix catalogue as well. So go and find a whole load of different publications and cut out words from them. And I encourage you to choose the big words, so the headline words and things like that, so the ones that you can still read, not words from the main copy, and choose words for their sound that are really delicious, choose brand names, choose weird and unusual words, maybe words you don't know, and try and cut out an even number. So if you haven't, go and do that now. If you've done that, then here's what I'd like you to do next. So I, in a Blue Peter style, here's one I made earlier, but actually I cut out a load of words from these magazines. And all I'm going to do, and I'm going to angle my camera down so that you can see me doing this, I've got a piece of scrap paper and I'm going to put all my words on there, and then I want to really quickly put these into pairs. So I'm going to angle you down now so you can see me do that. Right, there we go. So right, I'm just going to go quick, muddle them up, and then, right, this. Don't think too much about it, just go for it, okay? The idea is we want to mix up the words from all the different magazines and things. Okay, so here we go. I'm just going to lift this up a minute. So I just had a go at this now, and I've made this this word pair poem. All right. So I'll just read it to you now. So my word pair poem goes like this: irrigation logistics, mallard requiem, convector, pharaoh's samkin, heritage improbable dumplings, miraculous quarters, scouse battle, colour change scrolls, angel opticians, elongated Wentworth. So that's fun. So I just did that really quickly. And now what I'd like you to do is to choose one of those word pairs that suggests an idea. And for me, the one of mine that really stood out was angel opticians. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to free write for 5 minutes, just really go with that idea. So I'm going to imagine what the opticians for the angels are like. They'd have to have an extra large door so that the angels could fit their wings through it. I don't really know what angels' eyes are like. Do they have bad eyesight? I really want to get into that in my piece of writing. And what I'd like you to do is to keep saying yes to that idea. And as Philip Gross, the poet, says, you just say, what if there was an Angel Opticians, and what then? And then you keep going with that idea until you feel like you can't go any further, and then you go a bit further. Okay, so that's my suggestion for your warm-up. Take 5 minutes, write into that idea, and if you want, you could also stick down, using a glue stick, stick down your word pair poem, and they're really beautiful things. You can just put it up, on the wall, like you're in an exhibition. Okay, have fun with that. I'll be back in a minute with another found recycled poetry activity. Okay, for your main activity this week, I'm going to challenge you to create a Blackout poem. This is another kind of found poem that I really enjoy. Now, the most amazing example of this is an artist called Tom Phillips, who made this book called A Humament, which is a treated Victorian novel. And he found this novel called A Human Monument, I think it was. And he's created these poems by erasing and painting over the top of the pages. And it's really quite an incredible piece of work. It took him about 20 years, I think, to do this one. But we can make our own versions. So what I'd like you to do is to find an article from somewhere, especially something that you find a bit annoying, and then we're going to work with that. So you might want to pause me while you go and find your article from somewhere. Don't write on other people's books or anything like that. Find a magazine, a newspaper, something disposable to do this with. So go and find that if you need to. If you've got that, then this is the process. You need a few bits of equipment. You'll need a pencil, an eraser for moments you might get it a bit wrong, and a black marker pen, or alternatively, you can use a highlighter. And I'm going to show you what I've done with this article. I've also got some examples here of past ones I've done. This is a recipe that I've turned into a Blackout poem by choosing words. And it just says hurt, creamy wealth, chopped, peeled and grated, ground, dried, red, chopped stock, Greek, finish, very roughly fry all the gold. And I had a lot of fun just picking out the verbs in the recipe on that one. There's all sorts of other approaches you can take. Here's some others I've made in the past as well, okay? From celebrity magazines, and I've made them from other things as well. So they look like this, okay? So here's the one I've got in process, so I can talk you through how to do it. Find your article, and the first thing I'd like you to do, like I've done at the top here, is to draw around some words that you want to pick out. This is an advert for a gold coin, which seems ridiculous. It's £299, and I thought it was stupid, so I'd make a poem out of it. And I've changed it at the top here. I've chosen a title from the top. I'm going to call this Brand New, and then it starts A Better World in Long-Term Ways. Okay, so I've just started picking out the words I'm using. This next bit is what I would do next if it was a Blackout poem. So, a better world in long-term ways, the world free, the UK, it goes on here. Now this bit, if you want, instead of blacking out, you could use a highlighter. You could do a highlighter poem. Highlight the words that you want to use in your poem. Okay, so my complete poem of this one will be Brand New. A better world in long-term ways, the world free, the UK free to fluctuations, sharp days, free to return below. Okay, they can take a while, and actually it's good for them to take a while. So those are the steps. Find your article, draw around the words with a pencil, and then if you want to do a Blackout poem, use a marker pen. If you want to do a highlighter, you just highlight those words, and you can get as elaborate as you want, and maybe you'll end up doing something like a humament, using paints and joining up the words and doing incredible things. Okay, I hope you have a good time doing that, and I'll be back in a second with a takeaway activity. Next time, we're going to be thinking about something quite different. We're going to be thinking about a Japanese type of poem called a haiku. Haikus use syllables. Now, as your takeaway task, I'd like you to practice finding syllables. A syllable is every time the chin moves down. Okay, so you can practice by checking if your chin moves down. I'd like you to use some of your found words and make a little silly nonsense haiku. It might not mean anything, but I want you to practice. And so with my found pairs of words that I found earlier, I've made one up, okay, that mimics the form of a haiku. A haiku is 3 lines. The first line is 5 syllables. The second line is 7 syllables. And the third is 5 syllables. 3 lines, 5, 7, 5. I'd like you in the words that you found to make up a haiku, checking that the syllables work. Okay, so my one is convector pharaohs, irrigation logistics, angel opticians. Okay, so it works as a haiku, even though it's quite peculiar. It kind of still counts. So try that out this week, and then next time I'll be back with more about writing haiku. See you then.